Hi, guys. It's Kathy. I hope you're doing well. We made it to Friday, right? Yes. No, we made it to Thursday. Today's not Friday. Today's Thursday. CJ, I hope you had a great birthday. Did you? Did you have a great birthday? You did get comments in the videos. So look in the video and you'll see people saying happy birthday. Cujo made it to alive, but not today. Oh, Cujo, I hope you're having a good day. So I'm just going to play this Texas A&M because, man, I'm telling you, I don't know if it's a full moon or if everybody's just as cranky as they can be, but everybody at work, my customers, are just beyond cranky anymore. I got into a fight with one of the customers because so I go outside and this guy is out there. He has a work truck and he's messing around. I'm out there and I'm watching him, but I'm doing my own thing. And then he goes in while I'm out there. He sees me. He goes in the building. And then maybe 2 minutes later, it wasn't even any more than 2 minutes later, I go in the building. Takes me 30 seconds to wash my hands. And then I go out to the tables. I go to his table first just because, his was the furthest away. I always start at the furthest way. Anyway, it doesn't matter. And he says, and I saw him sitting there. I said, "Oh, you don't have any food." Everybody else at the table had food. He just came late. I said, "Can I get you something to eat?" He says, "Well, sure, but I had to go up and get my own beer." I said, "What do you mean you had to go up and get your own beer?" He goes, "Yeah, I came in and sat down, but I had to go up and get my own beer." I said, "You only walked in 2 minutes ago." He said, "No, it was 10 minutes ago." But I ignored him. And I was just writing down what everybody else at the table wanted and then writing down what he wanted. And then I said, "Sir, I was just outside with you. I was right with you. Did you not see me?" He says, "Yeah, I saw you." I said, "That was 2 minutes ago." He goes, "Okay, maybe 7 minutes ago." I said, "No, it wasn't 7 minutes ago. It was 2 minutes ago." It was music bingo. We were really busy and all the tables were packed. And there were two of us on. So even if I wasn't outside with him, 2 minutes is not a long time to wait for a server to come to your table. It's just not. And then I don't know. I know Victoria does it. When we go out to eat, we had a table of 20 people. I don't know. I wish Fozzie was here. He would be able to tell me how many people we had. It was a real long table. I'm thinking there was 10 on one side, 10 on the other. So I'm just going to say 20 people. I could be off a bit. But she's like, separate checks. She told these people separate checks. And they did separate them. But it took them a while. But they did bring separate checks. Well, I have, big parties coming for Music Bingo. There is no way, not zero chance you're going to get me to keep separate tabs on everybody in that bar. There's no chance. So the end of the night comes, the bill comes. We had some New Yorkers in there tonight, and they wanted lime and lemon with their waters, and they wanted extra waters, and they needed extra sauce for everything. If they got a pretzel, they wanted 2 honey mustards, 2 beer cheeses, but they didn't tell me right away. They would make me go get one at a time. They got wings, they wanted extra blue cheese and then extra hot sauce. And so the end of the night comes. I give them their bill. They said we wanted separate checks. I said, "No problem. Here's a pen. Just tell me how you want me to separate them, and I'll separate them." And they're like, "What do you mean?" I said, "Yeah, I can give you separate checks. Just tell me how you want them separated." She goes, "Well, I want mine on a separate check." I said, "Sure, no problem. Tell me what on here is yours, and I will separate them." I'm not going to memorize what you ate and drank. No, I'm not. And then she tried me to just do hers first. I don't do that anymore. Because you know what happens when I don't do all of them when I do one at a time? There's always like 2 or 3 items at the end that nobody bought and nobody wants to pay for. So now when people say separate checks, absolutely. I do the whole table. I'm going to separate this whole table out right now, and then I will give you your check. Don't give me that credit card. I don't want your credit card. I'm not taking your credit card until these are all separated, because they used to give me a check with like A's, B's, C's, this credit. And then they would say this credit card goes for A, this credit card goes for B. No, because you know how many times I charged the wrong card on the wrong freaking letter? So I don't do that no more. I said, no. I will split this check for you. I will bring it back. I will hand you your bill, and then you can give me a credit card for that bill. But unless this check has something by every single item, I'm not splitting it. I'm not getting screwed anymore. I got to pay for that. I got to pay for that when they do that to me. So, but everybody was like that because everybody was so cranky they didn't tip. It's like when bills get tough, people don't fly no more, and they cut out things that they don't have to do right away, and they cut out tips. What they used to tip, they don't. They're going to give you 5% or 10%. No, that's not good enough. I got bills too. So I wasn't really worried about pissing them off because, yeah, I can't do anything about it, CJ. There's 0 things I can do about it right now. Nothing. You guys are just going to have to deal with it. I'm going to put the video on, though, and you guys won't even have to worry about it. See? Absolutely. You want me to split your check? You're going to pay me for it.
You ever go back to it?
There we are.
I don't remember. I don't know why.
And he still has no socks on.
I don't know why you would either. Next page.
Yo, I don't care.
Explain to us why the additional language was added. Scroll up, please. Right there. Now, you see that word that says everything was left, period? Yes. But then more language was added? Yes. Why? They wanted me to explain what I was doing. Who's they? My lawyers. So you, without disclosing any communications, you put this on there later? I cannot remember what I put that on. I believe it was that day, but I can't remember. Then you put, so the other, and then you scratch that out, right? I did. So it makes it sound like, so the reason for me being on the job was to observe and evaluate Ben Kinkle while he was operating 140-02 so that I could sign him off on that crane, which he did very well. You wrote that? I did. You wrote that later? Can't remember, sir. Well, you certainly didn't write it on the same day you wrote the first one, did you? Can't remember. Go back to the previous page. You added a sentence to this page, didn't you? You see the page where it stops at the word left? I do. Okay. Now scroll over and let's look at the next one. Then at some point you added an additional sentence, right? I don't remember. Can you tell us when you struck out the word other? I don't remember.
You go to submission here.
At this time, does the defense wish to play their position? Okay, please proceed.
So you were out there, were you supervising him or just observing him or both? I'm just observing him. Okay. And that's the reason you were out of the job site in September 2021? Yes. Let's go to document page stamp 134. Recognize this document?
I do,
What is it?
certification of the crane.
Now, either is this is something that you provide, and I say you, TNT provides to the customer?
Yes.
So this would have come from TNT.
So this paper comes from Pathfinder, who comes out, they're a third party. They inspect our equipment, make sure there's no defects and everything's working, and they provide it to us, we provide it to the customer.
So this is something provided by the manufacturer to you, or the equipment contractor, and then you provide it to the customer.
No,
Tell me again.
it's provided from a third party, Pathfinder, who certifies our cranes. It's not from the manufacturer.
All right, and this third.
Yes. That's a new kitten. I had one female cat left that I didn't get fixed in time. So yeah. Now I got 4 more kittens. Does anybody want a kitten? Does anybody want any cats from Pennsylvania? They're really cool. All your neighbors think you're cool. If you get these cats from Pennsylvania, please. The other day when CJ had to call me and wake me up because I overslept, I came down and my green screen was gone because they just ripped it down. And you can't just surrender cats to like the pound like you used to be able to when I was young. It costs you $50 a cat. Just surrender it to the pound. So you just gotta, they're little animals. You gotta take care of them. You gotta love them. But there's too many, and it's just getting worse. I feel like I'm in a snowball hell of cats right now, and I don't see any way out of it. I see no way out of this hell of all these cats. Yeah.
Your party finder equipment locator scheme.
Yes,
Okay. What part of the military were you in?
Army,
What rank did you achieve?
E4,
What was your MOS?
91 Bravo,
Which is what?
combat man.
I'm an attorney for Way and McCorvey in this lawsuit. Do you understand that?
I do.
Okay. What time did you get onto the job site that morning of September 22nd, 2021?
Pick an age. I got all kinds of cats. Pick an age.
Share my screen with you. This will be defendants, exhibit number 1. Can you see this? See my screen, Mr. Rivera?
Yes,
Okay. Do you know what this document is?
yes, it's a limb.
It's a what? Can you repeat?
It's a limb.
A limb?
That's something that our dispatchers generate to give us the job description. Okay.
They're Democrats.
And in this limb, it gives you the basic info of the lift and the equipment to be used.
Yes,
Okay. And then you guys, or Ben specifically, is he the one who has the customer sign the limb?
yes,
Okay. And in presenting that to the customer, the limb is an agreement between the customer and TNT with regard to the equipment to be used and the lift and how it's to be performed and executed.
Yes, yes.
Both?
And what
Okay.
times does TNT usually have customer?
I don't have any white cats. I have black cats, I have gray cats, I have orange cats, I have calico cats, boys and girls, but I do not have any white cats. Isn't that weird?
Sign the limb?
Before the job starts and after the job's over.
Before the job starts and then after the job is over. Okay. And two distinct times, correct?
Yes,
Okay. Is it common then for TNT to have the customer sign it for the beginning and end of day at the same time?
that is common sometimes.
Common sometimes. What was it? And
It happens periodically, yes.
and according to this limb, it appears that Mr. Laree signed it at 9:09 AM and then at 9:10 AM, correct?
Yes,
Okay. Is the limb signed electronically? Or is it something signed on a piece of paper?
it's, we have a tablet.
You have a tablet. Now, do you see under here, under the signatures, the limb comments? Do you see that?
I did.
Okay. When do you typically insert comments onto a limb?
After,
Before or after the job?
after the job.
Okay. So the limb comment here is major job site incident, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay. And presume, but tell me if I'm wrong, I presume that the major job site incident that we're talking about here is the accident that we're here about today where the air handler fell and fell on top of Mr. Lurie, correct?
that would be a question for Ben, sir.
Okay. Are you aware of any other major job site incidents that happened on September 22nd, 2021?
No,
Okay. My question to you, Mr. Rivera, is
I can't find the black one right now, the solid black one. This is his brother. I call him, wait, you need to see his face. I call him penis face. They, but I have no idea. I have no idea where his black brother is. I have no idea. He's around here somewhere.
Mr. Lurie reportedly signed this at 9:09 and 9:10 AM. How exactly then was this limb comment inserted?
you can, that comment section stays open until you close out on the lip.
Until you close out on the limb.
Yes.
Is that whenever the customer signs end of day?
No,
Playing victim
When
again,
you
Donald.
close out?
when you get back to the yard. That comment section is just, if there's any breakdown, there's anything happening, delays, anything, you write that in that comment section. And it can be done the next day. It's- Until you lock and close out on that link, you can write comments on there.
Is there a page missing?
No. This isn't showing everything that's on my tablet. There's a stop, after we arrive at the job, where it says arrive at the job. I mean, at the yard, go down. Keep going. Yeah,
Oh. Welcome to scroll all the way down, unless I was just taking, there we go, that's the end of it.
yeah, this doesn't show what we look at. This is just, I don't know what this was.
Do you know if there's a way to print off based off of what you can see on your tablet that's additional?
No, it's just tabs. What it said there, left job. That's the timestamp.
Right, time left yard, time arrived at job,
Yeah,
you know.
so we'll probably finish this room the following day, if it's at 7 AM. See that?
Yeah, So you're saying Ben Kinkle finished this lens the following day?
It looks like. After everything that had happened, I'm sure he didn't think about going in there and stopping the limb.
You didn't have anything to do with this limb, correct?
No, that's on Ben's tablet. I had nothing to do with that.
Are there other tools that PNT uses measure wind speed?
So it's actually an aid. It is a tool. It's an aid. It's to aid the operator in his tasks. And you can use our computer as an aid. You can run the crane if the computer goes out. You just have to do all the math on paper. So those are all aids to help us in our job, but they're not if something goes out, it doesn't require you to shut the job down. You still perform your job. You can use other devices, handheld.
Is that the only,
You can look at the flags to see if the wind is blowing,
so
dust in the job site. 20-mile-an-hour wind, 26-mile-an-hour wind, there's gonna be dust everywhere.
okay, did you consider these aids during the project began to rig up the unit?
As far as determining the wind,
Yes, other than or in addition to the anemometer, did you consider these other aids that you're talking about?
so I didn't know the anemometer wasn't working. So, but the wind wasn't blowing hard enough to catch my attention. And there was no flags, there was no dust in the air. So it wasn't strong enough to bring it to my attention. And as an operator, that's something
So-
we look at.
If I understand you correctly, at the time that this project began, or a little bit before the project began, the wind was not a factor for you all to consider.
No, ma'am.
At any time during the process of y'all rigging up the unit, did the wind become an issue?
No, ma'am. So, can I add something?
Behind during, yes, sir.
So, in our
Go ahead.
JSC, on the JSA says everyone has the right to stop the job if they feel anything's unsafe. Anybody on that job site, if they felt the wind was too strong, could have stopped it.
Did
So anybody, any person on that job site who thought there was an issue that could harm someone could have stopped it. They could have shut it down.
anybody ask to stop the project on any team, whether it be Way, Mechanical, or TNT, or anybody else's team on that day, asked to stop the project due to wind issues?
No, no.
That concludes.
Thank you. Who does plaintiff wish to call next?
Your Honor, we're gonna call by video deposition an individual named Richard Harris.
And how long?
Burn Construction. This deposition in total is an hour and 30 minutes, so just let us know when he wants to stop.
Give me 30 minutes, Counselor,
Want 30 minutes of it?
and then we'll do the other hour tomorrow and we'll call it a day. Thank you. If you need to stand up and stretch, stand up. You just got 30 more minutes, guys.
Oh, stop it at 30 minutes.
I wasn't
That
paying
means-
attention. Are they
30
done with
minutes,
depositions?
now.
Are they done with depositions now? Are they getting? No, there's someone on the screen. Almost, guys, almost. I'm leaving it there. I just skipped a little bit, but I'm leaving it there. Yes, there is a jury for this. This is a civil case. They're trying to find out who's responsible for the death of the man and the one who got his arm cut off. I think we need to wait till she comes back in. Hold on. Hi, JK. I don't hear anything either. I'm searching for the next part. It's muted. She muted it. The judge muted it. All right, the judge skipped that whole next part. That's fine, Judge. You do it. You whatever you want to do. You're the judge. All right, now we're gonna go to the 25th.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
So
And
yeah.
here.
So I ran out of space on my computer because I had so much on it, and I missed some of it, but it's okay because it's all the same thing. The win. Only 2 points were rigged.
Job.
All right, we're still in deposition.
You telling me that has never happened other than the circumstances that we're here to talk about today?
Yeah, I mean, nothing jumps out of my mind that was an injury where, I guess an incident report had to be produced. No, I can't think of, like, kind of what you're trying to ask me, I guess.
What I'm hearing is you only recall one instance, the instance on September 22nd, 2021. Is that your testimony?
Yeah, I can't think of anything else that someone got hurt while I was operating a crane.
Everybody that worked for TNT reported to Mandy Rivera, the TNT's crane superintendent on that day, right?
On that job, the dock supervisor, on my knowledge,
Juan Garza, was he out there?
yes,
Was he the flagger slash signal man?
yes.
Were there any other job duties he had out there other than, flagger and signal man?
No, that's his main role, once the lift start that's it, he's gotta be focused on flagging.
Did he have any rigging responsibilities on September 22nd?
None that I'm aware of.
Was he supposed to be either rigging up the load or unrigging the load?
Say that one more time, I was trying to read.
Was Juan Garza on that particular job supposed to be rigging up the load or unrigging the load?
He had nothing going on with unrigging it. But the setup, I guess the rig up, we all had a hand in. That's where we had our KSA tailboard at.
He had no job responsibilities relating to unrigging that load, right?
Correct.
Manny Rivera, he was the crane superintendent, right?
Yes.
He was the lead
How did
TNT
you
guy
get
on that
there?
job.
Oh my.
Yes.
Did he assist in rigging or unrigging this load in any way that you're aware of?
None that I'm aware of. Only Wave Mechanical was involved in the de-rigging part.
Do you know who unrigged that load?
Wave Mechanical unrigged the unit on the inside the building.
Now, you didn't see them unrig it, right?
There was no TNT employees able to go in their danger zone. They had it blocked off to where none of us could enter. Only Wave Mechanical's employees could.
Did you see it rigged up?
A portion of it, just because the crane setup I was doing.
Where were you when it was getting rigged up?
In the cab before we started the meeting, pre-lifting.
Were you watching them rig it up?
From the cab, yes.
You watched Wade Mechanical guys rig up that load?
Yes.
The only people you recall rig
I think if he's watching them from the cab, he is the lift operator.
up that load with those from Wade Mechanical, right?
Yeah, the director of the rigging points would be from Wade Mechanical.
You just told me you observed, meaning you watched Wade Mechanical guys rigging up that load. Did you just tell me that?
Yes, Wade Mechanical, is rigging the unit to their specifications for their wishes.
And you saw that with your own eyes, right?
The rigging part, yes, the way they wanted it rigged.
And you were sitting in your cab when you were watching them rig it up, right?
Yes. A portion of it, there was they were rigging, their load and I was, lining up the pick and everything to that effect.
I'm trying to figure out if you know, sitting here today, whether or not 4 guys that I've just highlighted were at that pre-lift meeting. Do you know?
Me, Juan, and Mario, I can remember being there, but I just 100% can't tell you that, Manny was there just because I don't remember.
Was it windy that day?
Not to my knowledge.
During the pre-lift operation meeting, did anyone ever discuss the winds and raise that concern with you?
Nothing that stands out to me. I don't remember there being any concern of wind that day.
You don't recall there being high winds around that time?
Objection form.
Oh, I'm a
No,
slut.
I don't remember
100%.
being any wind concern.
But I'm single, so I don't have to worry about a pair of pants that are on the floor. I don't. They can wait until laundry day. It's fine right there. No one sees my bedroom.
On that day.
I mean, that'd be something you would remember if the guys, on the day this guy was killed, if you're discussing potentially canceling this job, right?
If it was brought up to me, I mean, if they have concern, they have every right to stop the job. It's the whole stop work authority initiative. And if there's any concern, everyone has the right to stop the job at any time.
Nobody told you who was supposed to do what till you got out there, right?
The understanding that I was under was Wade Mechanical was doing the rigging, in the building.
Who told you that?
In charge. Our office and, when we were having our lift meeting, that they were going to handle the rigging inside the building.
Who told you that specifically?
That would be the gentleman that has passed.
David Laurie?
Yes, sir.
You recall him telling you that?
I recall a verbal conversation that me and him had, having a ticket signed prior to the job of my concerns of the unit and the lift.
Trying to figure out who told you that Wade Mechanical was gonna provide the services and labor for this particular job.
I would
I'll
say
drive
they
them
would
to you.
want to reiterate
I'll drive them to you.
and understand that
20?
from
Pick a
TNT
number.
that they were doing the rigging.
Let's talk about who these people were. Tell me what David Laurie specifically told you about the services and labor he was gonna provide.
The guys for the work on the fourth floor, whatever they are doing up there, he's doing with the skates and the wood and everything.
Listen,
That's what he
you're asking me about this. I have to say that Wade Mechanical, I think, is the one who provides the lifts and certifies the lift operators. So I have to say they're the ones that are on the hook for for being responsible for the lift falling over. But I don't know yet because we haven't heard everything. Remember, the trial is still going on right now.
Who's gonna do, who's gonna handle everything on the fourth floor?
He told you we're gonna handle everything on the
Now,
floor.
I'm going to leave the cats and just drive to you.
That's what I recall me and his conversation being when I had concerns of the unit falling prior in our yard, that he would handle it from the fourth floor and that he had control.
You said TNT personnel told you that too. Which TNT personnel?
Mario said that they were rigging on the fourth floor. There was later conversation during the pre-lift meeting, again, Mario was, they're rigging on the fourth floor. You know, that Juan is just a flagger, which I had already understood and knew, but he mentioned it again.
Well, tell me what you recall about the wind that day.
I don't think they blame
Oh,
them
there
too
was-
much, Kelly. They mention that they're in that area that they're not supposed to be in, but barely. It's more it's more the big contractors and the big subcontractors fighting amongst each other, not the two guys.
Nothing that I remember being concerning, there was no, you know, materials flying, you know, years of working on a construction site. You see materials start moving, trash rolling around, something to that effect, and I don't recall any of that day.
Who was the lift director on this job?
Until, Wade Mechanicals people were more the lift director.
Do you know?
That's my understanding.
I'm talking about a specific person, not a company. Because a lift director has to be a specific person, right?
I would say it'd be Wade Mechanicals foreman.
Do you know who that was?
Mr. Leary,
Lori? Do you recall anybody that was supervising the lift while it was going on?
Wade Mechanical had some employees on the ground.
Who's that?
I don't remember their names.
You heard of the term danger zone or fall zone?
Yes.
Nobody's supposed to be.
Soon they'll be on the stand and we won't be listening to a recording of a deposition, and you'll be able to hear everything much better. And this attorney is going to frustrate you really hard.
In the fall zone or danger zone, unless you're involved in the rigging and unrigging process, right?
As far as I understand, you're not supposed to be in there at all in any report.
Yes, your position is, look, nobody should be in the fall zone or danger zone ever. What you're telling me?
Not a good idea. Sure.
It's the crane supervisor's job to keep people out of there, right? It's not.
No TNT employee were allowed in the zone when the lifts being, in the building.
Trying to figure out whose job it is to keep people out of that zone. Isn't it the crane supervisor's job?
No, that would be, Wade Mechanicals people. That's their area.
And so if those front two chain balls have been unhooked, are you allowed to lift a load that's only connected at 2 points?
I wasn't aware of the rigging that they were doing up top. That was Wade.
I mean, is that one of the jobs of the signal man to communicate with you in the cab as to whether or not any of these 4 points have been unhooked?
His role is to relay commands from Wade Mechanical to us.
Your understanding is
Only Wade Mechanical was in that zone.
We were talking about when this load was rigged up, it's connected by 4 points, one on each side, right?
Yes.
What did you do as the crane operator, once you became aware that something had happened? What did you do with the equipment?
More or less secured it off, to where nothing would move. Cause I didn't know what was going on.
How would you do that?
That crane has a electric swing lock that you lock on a button. And then it has a function lockout on the dash that you will flip to kill the controls in the cab.
And explain, ladies and gentlemen, of the jury, what that would do.
Once you turn the function lockout switch on, your hydraulics become separated from the control, and you can move the controls, but no functions would apply because of the disconnect switch.
Tell me, once you locks you engage the function lock switch and you lock the electric swing lock, what did you do at that point?
Stand by and waited for any instructions or I assumed safety and police personnel would respond, and I had to make sure that nothing was gonna happen with the crane. I couldn't leave it unattended.
Was there any direct communication to you from anyone at Bay during this lift?
No one that I remember talked to me directly during the lift. It was one flag over the radio, from what Wade Mechanical was requesting.
And how do you know that it was Way Mechanical making the request?
The radio communication. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Finish your answer.
Just Wade Mechanical, their, Mr. Can't pronounce his last name.
Larry.
Mr. Larry was communicating with Juan at his wishes for the crane movement, and he was just relaying the information to me.
Okay, and I guess so my follow-up to you is, how did you know that? How did you know it was Mr. Larry who was communicating to Juan?
I understood him as the job foreman or the boss of the Wade Mechanical employees.
How did you have that understanding? How did you come to understand that?
He signed the initial start ticket that TNT has, and I had a conversation with him prior.
Tell me about that conversation.
First time I had met him, and so was trying to get an understanding of the job work and just trying to not get to know him, but obviously you want to have a point of contact, I guess, a person to talk to, representative for my company, their company, right?
Was that the morning of the lift?
Yes.
That wasn't during the pre-lift meeting, was it? Was this something separate?
It was separate.
Were there any Way Mechanical employees at the pre-lift meeting?
As far as I remember, yes, everyone was present at the meeting.
As a crane operator, at what point is there a threshold of wind speed that will cause you to call off a lift?
When it becomes hazardous, yes.
Was the conversation you had with Mr. Larry the day of the incident friendly?
For the most part, I would say yes. I felt he was very confident in his abilities and I don't feel that he particularly liked, my concerns of the unit prior, you know, because it had fallen prior. But it was, you know, good orderly friendly.
And what concerns did you express to Mr. Loreen, if you can recall?
I remember expressing concerns of it falling, and he was very confident in his abilities, you know, assuring me that nothing was gonna happen.
Did y'all have a argument about this? Did you go back and forth, or was it cordial?
So it was, I would say cordial. He was definitely confident in his abilities and, you know, he was very experienced from all his years, from what he had mentioned to me and definitely one of those situations.
So did he,
Not knowing him.
after that conversation, were you comfortable proceeding with the lift based on what Mr. Loree told you, or was there something else?
Well, I felt that he, was experienced in his profession with, you know, everyone on site having the safety record that they do. I believe he had, a lot of, eyes, you know, on the situation.
And if you had, if you as the crane operator, if you have concerns about the safety of the lift or the stability of the equipment, you have the ability to stop it, don't you?
Well, everyone has stop work authority, everyone has a stop work card that they feel uncomfortable with anything.
Texas A&M is a college. It's a huge university. I think right now it has like almost 80,000 students just in the one part alone.
At any point, we can shut any job down.
And you did not use that card in this instance, true?
The unit made it to where it needed to be after it was on the fourth floor. I had no other control of it.
When you say they were involved in the rigging, I have two follow-up questions. Who do you mean by they? And what do you mean by rigging?
Wade Mechanical was rigging the unit.
Were you disciplined after this happened?
No,
And as far as the actual operation of the crane, you know, running the controls, that was your responsibility, right?
yeah, my job role was to run the crane.
And the instructions that you received as the unit was getting up to the fourth floor, all those instructions came to you from your spotter over the radio, is that right?
From Wade Mechanical to Juan to me, at their wishes of how to enter in.
And then I understand that your testimony is that Wayne Mechanical gave instructions and they were passed on to you by your radio man, right?
Correct.
When you had your conversation with Mr. Loree before the pre-lift meeting and you indicated that you had talked with him, or one of the things that was mentioned was that the unit had taken over the day before. Did I hear that right?
Yes, he was aware that the unit had fallen prior.
That concludes our clips, Your Honor. Thank you. Who does the plaintiff wish to call as their next witness?
Your Honor, we're calling, our expert. His name is Dave Decker. We call Dave Decker.
Thank you. Mr. Becker, would you please come to the stand? I'm going to swear you in. Good afternoon, sir. Becker, the rule has been, you can have a seat there, please. I'll ask that you speak into the microphone, the attorneys. If you could wait. Ask another question. In addition to that, remember the court reporter is recording. Sometimes we can dialogue and conversation and speak over each other. Please don't do that for purposes of court today. And last but not least, the rule has been invoked. Please do not discuss this case with other witnesses in this case. And please do not speak to the jurors, of course, outside the presence of the courtroom.
Outside the courtroom, yes.
And don't speak to any of the chambers during this case. Okay.
Thank you.
You can proceed, counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Well, good afternoon. My name is Dave Decker. I'm a crane expert. I've been working with cranes and rigging for the better part of 48 years, well, a little more than 48 years, I guess. And I've worked hands-on with cranes and rigging. I've also been involved in the regulatory side. So, my experience is very varied. And I sit on 8 boards and committees, I guess, to do with writing the standards for cranes and rigging.
How you doing?
I'm doing good.
You've been sitting here for many days. You look like you're wound up, ready to go.
I am wound up and ready to go. Yes.
We need some energy. I'm fading over here. Action sidebar.
Ms. Dane.
I wanna, you gave us a little bit of it, and we have your CV, but you described yourself as a crane expert. Tell me when you started working with cranes.
Started working with cranes March 24th, 1977.
Why were you working for cranes in 77?
I was looking for a job as a truck mechanic, and that job had been filled. And they asked me if I was afraid of heights at an opening in the crane department. And so I went to the crane department at the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard, and I started that day. Not sure what I was going to offer at that point, but somewhere along the way, I've picked up a couple of tidbits.
Okay, because we are asking the court to recognize you as an expert in this case. So from 1977 until the present day, what kind of things you've been doing with regard to cranes?
Okay, I have operated just about every kind of crane that you can imagine. I've performed rigging, and I've been a signal person. I've been certified as a rigger by, at the time, all 3 accredited organizations that can accredit or can certify riggers, and several unaccredited organizations. I've been certified as a signal person, a crane operator, a licensed examiner for cranes, a licensed examiner for riggers, a licensed examiner or a certification examiner, I should say, for signal person. Before the institutions existed that certified people, I held Navy licenses to operate all of those pieces of equipment. And now for the last 30 years, I've sat on various American Society of Mechanical Engineers membership committees to help to write the standards. And so I sit on the American Society of Mechanical Engineers Board of Codes and Standards, which oversees all of the mechanical standards that are written and then become approved by the American National Standards Institute, and they're then known as ANSI standards. I sit on the crane and lifting equipment main committee, which oversees all of the equipment standards. I sit on the lift planning committee, which writes and oversees lift planning requirements or suggestions. And I sit on 5 subcommittees. The sling subcommittee I've been on for 30 years. I was past chair and still member of the rigging hardware subcommittee. I sit on the subcommittee for portal and gantry cranes, for personnel lifting devices, and I'm missing one more. I can't think of the name of it at the moment. Sorry, I'm just a little bit, it's been a while since I've done this.
Okay, well, we're gonna get to that part in a minute. So you are a certified rigger?
I have been a certified rigger. I've let it lapse because I'm 71 years old and I'm about to retire.
You're not out there rigging for loads right now?
No, not recently.
You know how to do it?
Oh, absolutely. I still teach many times a year. I teach rigging classes, signal person classes, and some crane operator classes.
Are you a kind of person that people would call on to certified riggers?
Yes.
Just briefly, because obviously you have a wealth of information, take us through how somebody becomes a certified rigger.
Well, Certification is a process whereas you come to the certification group, if you will, with you should already be trained and you should know all of the requirements and be able to do the rigging. And the certification is simply two tests, a written test so that you understand the requirements and a practical exam that shows that you can actually perform that function, whether it be rigging or signaling or operating crane. But you'll hear a lot, if you don't mind me adding, the term qualified, and that is a little bit different. Qualified means that you have the knowledge, skills, and ability through training, experience, education, what have you, to do a particular job. So you could be a certified rigger or a certified signal person, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're qualified to do every job, if that makes any sense. In other words, you might be a certified rigger that has unloaded flatbed trailers for 30 years, but if you needed to make a lift in a nuclear industry power plant, you may not be qualified for that work.
Okay. And you mentioned,
Homer Simpson does it.
that's the person that does what?
That's the person that typically connects the load, chooses first, inspects the rigging gear.
This is Harris County. This is in the civil building, which is right next to, sort of around, close to Judge Fleischer's building.
Chooses the rigging gear, connects the rigging gear to the load, and then when the load is landed, disconnects the rigging gear from the load and stores it properly.
Okay, so rigging is not just connecting, it's also disconnecting.
It is also disconnecting, yes.
And there's already planning involved in that?
Oh, absolutely. Somewhere along the line, the proper rigging gear for the job has to be chosen based on capacity and function. It has to be inspected before it's used every single day. And there has to be a plan as how you're going to use it. What is the most appropriate rigging gear to perform this task? There are various ways to attach, for example, the same sling. You can attach it in different ways to get different results. And so it has to be planned in advance.
Rigging is not, is you only connecting, that's half the job.
That's half the job, yes.
You also mentioned another word, signal person,
Signal person is the correct term, yes.
and you can get a certification in that.
Yes, there is, and that's a voluntary certification. It is not voluntary that you be qualified,
Okay.
but it's voluntary that you get a certification.
Certification, you're actually getting a certificate.
Yes, you actually get a card with your name on it and it says that have passed these tests to do that. So both rigger and signal person, the certifications are voluntary, but the being qualified is not voluntary, that's mandatory.
And we've also heard this term spotter. What is that?
That's an improperly used term to describe signal person often. What a spotter is in the industry is a person who, in addition to the signal person, a second signal person, if you will, that watches the crane and the rigging and the load to make sure that there's no interference, such as electrical power lines. And that person also has to be a qualified signal in order to be a spotter. But I've heard spotter and flagger used quite a bit here in the last week.
So you brought it up, flagman or flag person. We've heard that phrase. Is that a formal position?
It is, but not in the crane industry. Flaggers are used, for example, railroads they're actually people with a flag, or on the airlines, when your airplane comes in, they have people with flags, they are flaggers. The proper term is signal person. I know what you're talking about when you say that you're a flagger, but I also think, why are you using a term that doesn't really apply to the crane industry?
And then, of course, it might be self-evident, radio person. Is that a different term?
Radio person is the signal person using a radio.
Okay. So with regard to cranes, it's the crane operator, the signal person, and the rigger.
Correct.
So if they use spotter, they're talking about the signal person.
Correct.
If they use flagger, they're probably talking about the signal person
That is correct.
or spotter. Can somebody in a lift situation be the signal person and the rigger at the same time?
They can be.
Okay, explain.
Oh, there are many times when, especially during a smaller lift, where you're going to hook up the load. When you're finished hooking it up, or maybe there are several people hooking it up and the one person is designated, the signal person has to be the designated signal person.
You can only have one. And then when it's ready to be lifted, that person can either use hand signals or voice signals over the radio to indicate to the crane operator.
I can't answer that exactly. He was sitting here, he was leaning back, he was trying to stay awake during the depositions that they were playing. I don't know. I don't know which one of these is Wade Mechanical and which one of these is TNT. And I think there's another company involved, not the Pipers, but another company that I can't remember the name of. And I don't know. I think one of these is TNT and one of these is Wade Mechanical, I think. But I don't know who is who. You'll see. It gets kind of twisted.
Excuse me, exactly what function needs to be done, which direction, how far, and how fast. And they have to be done in a very specific order so that the operator is clear. And if the instructions are not clear, the operator must stop.
And I guess one thing that I've been really wondering about, and you can help me, if there's a certified rigger there, can he or she direct people to do the rigging when they're not qualified or certified? Is that appropriate?
Maybe. And let me explain. If I'm a certified rigger, a qualified rigger, I can have people assisting me with rigging the load, but I'm still responsible for the rigging of that load. I'm the person who says, yes, this is all good, and now we'll do what we're going to do. We're going to lift, or we're going to do whatever. But before it takes off, I've inspected the gear, I've inspected the way it's rigged, and I've watched the people that are helping me. So maybe I have assist people, but one person is responsible as the rigger.
He's just off camera. He's just off camera a little bit. You'll see him sit back down soon, I'm sure. He's part of this team right here. But he's in the room. And this is live. We're not listening to a recorded deposition anymore. He's there. Don't worry. When this guy gets up, you'll see him the whole time. Walking around.
The signal person in this situation.
You understand why I'm asking you that?
I do.
In the facts of this case, what have you seen that demonstrates that there were people? Let me ask you this one. Have you seen facts in this case that demonstrate there were people connecting and unconnecting this load who were neither qualified nor certified?
Yes, I believe that it's been testified to repeatedly this week that the personnel that were doing the rigging, as far as disconnecting the load in the air, or excuse me, up on the in the building, were not qualified or certified riggers or signal persons. They knew what they wanted to get done. In a situation like that, they could tell the signal person, hey, I want to lift this up. But the signal person is then responsible to make sure that everything is ready to go and safe and everybody is out of the way before giving that command.
So if you have a qualified rigger there, it's okay to have someone else actually doing the manual labor?
As long as you are overseeing it.
You can't just say, I'm a qualified rigger, do what you want.
No.
I think I may have asked you this. Are you also, or have you been a certified crane operator?
I have. I've been certified by 2 certifying organizations for different types of cranes. I also held Navy licenses for a multitude of crane types before the certifications were even initiated back in the 90s, and the mandate to have certified crane operators is as recent as 2010.
Have you trained crane operators?
I have.
Have you put in place various entities?
Bill, can you 3D print a crane?
Safety for crane operation.
I have done that as well. I've acted as a lift director. I've been retired from the Navy since 2006, and so I've done a lot of consulting for corporations like Nissan. I'm on retainer with Westinghouse Nuclear to, they call me when they have any kind of a complex rigging issue or something that they need help with. Everybody at every plant has my name and phone number, and they just give me a call, and sometimes I go to visit the site to help them solve problem and get past some issues.
did you, or what were you retained to do in this case?
To find the facts, to determine what happened.
Still going on.
Why
still getting
was David Lurie killed in September of 2021?
Okay, were you asked to examine or comment on any conduct of burn construction?
I was asked to look at all of the facts and to comment on where let the chips fall where they may, if you will.
Yeah, and I'm not suggesting you were asked to like, blame people. I'm just wondering, are you an expert in general construction of a job site?
No, I, in general terms, understand it, but that's not my expertise.
Now, are you an expert in being a general contractor?
No, that's also not my expertise.
What about being installing air ducts or air conditioning units?
No, absolutely not.
Were you asked, in fact, to confine your opinion to, look, tell me about the lift planning, the lift itself?
Yes.
Okay. I wanna ask you, if I could, that I made a few mistakes throughout this case about the dimensions. Let's start with just what were the dimensions of this thing, air unit, if you could, Carlos, Exhibit 7, so we can nail that down, so there's no question about it. Let's start with the dimensions of what was being moved. I've got plans Exhibit 7. Is that wrong? Photos. Oh, okay, nice. And then let's focus on page 20, first page.
The crane was huge. There's the dimensions. I don't know what's on TV.
The jury's
right now.
heard ad nauseum about this air handler unit, but when this thing is standing up, can you tell me how tall it is?
It would be 9 feet, 5 inches tall, and the black piece on the left-hand side of the screen, on the left-hand side of that unit is the base. That's the bottom of it. So from that point to the other end of the white part would be 9 feet, 5 inches.
Okay, so if I'm 6 foot, a little more, it's 3 foot above me. That's how tall it is.
Yes.
Okay. And how heavy is it?
5,100 and I want to say 93 pounds. It's to the best of my memory.
That's a good memory because that's what it is. And so we saw you sat in here when we watched the deposition of the crane operator,
Yes, at least part of it. I wasn't here for the whole thing.
and you saw his lift plan where he lists the weight of the lift.
Yes, yes,
How
I
bad
did.
did he miss it?
By about 25%. He underestimated the weight of it.
All right, so the dimensions, 5,193 pounds, over 9 foot tall. Okay, the mistake I made, the big one was, let's go to page 28 now, Carlos. Did you, after yesterday, go and figure out exactly the height of that building?
Yeah, I was a little curious because there were so many different thoughts flying around. So the height to the floor of the fourth floor, if you will, was 50 feet and a few inches.
Okay.
And the height to the roof was approximately 66 feet and some inches, 66.8, I believe it was.
Okay.
And so if you take that, that gives you what, 16 feet, and 9.5 feet was the unit, and then you have to have the rigging above that to be able to get it into the building.
Okay, so just so it fix me. For the crane operator to lift this load, how high does he have to lift it to get it into what I've been calling this hole here?
Right. Approximately 70 feet.
Okay, so did you sit in here when Dr. Mitchell, the meteorologist, was talking about his readings at 70 feet, 60 feet?
Yes,
Okay, so he hit it at 70 feet.
yes.
Okay. Now I missed it bad. Okay. Okay. All right, so what was the distance of the lift on this day that David Lurie was killed? How high up did they have to take this thing that day?
Well, at a minimum,
They're not real Americans, or they would have measured it by washing machines. It's at least 16 washing machines high, and like 1/8 of a football field wide.
the unit had to be lifted to clear 50 feet. So that means that the top of the rigging would be somewhere in the neighborhood of 70 feet because the top of the unit would be about 60 feet.
Okay, so they're moving something that's 9 foot tall, 5,193 pounds, 70 feet into the air. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. Did I miss any other dimensions that I really need to talk about?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Was there anything unusual about this particular unit from the point of view of a crane expert like yourself?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Okay, I'm sorry. Was there anything unusual about this unit that they were moving from the point of view of a crane operator or an expert like yourself?
Yeah, concerning to me is that it was a tall unit. Let's use my folder as an example. It was a tall unit like this, and the lifting points were necessarily on this lift directly below all of the weight of the unit. And so it's concerning to me that makes what we call the center of gravity, which is where the weight is focused or concentrated. That makes the center of gravity above the lifting points. And when I teach rigging classes, I'm down to about once a month now as I'm nearing retirement. But as I teach rigging classes, I explain that when the lift is from above the center of gravity, like I'm holding this pen, that is stable. But if the lift is below the center of gravity like this, it will fall over as soon as I let go of it. And so you always want to try to either lift from above the center of gravity or to encapsulate the lift so that it can't fall, tilt. Because when you pick something up with a crane, there is movement. It's unavoidable. There's movement when you pick something up with a long stick with strings hanging from it, basically.
Can I approach you on it?
Yes.
I'm going to show you, can you read that? I'm going to show you some photos that start out with TNT. Can you read that at the bottom there?
I'll try. You have to take my glasses off.
Can't see that.
TNT
Identify it first and I'll do that.
001760.
Okay, and then the last one.
Can you have him read that again?
Yeah, it's, they made it so small that you need a micro.
I have to take my glasses off
to read it. It's a TNT document. That's how.
Stop, counselor. At this point, you do have copies though, once he identified.
Right there.
Perfect. All right.
TNT 001760.
Okay, and the last page.
TNT 1767.
Okay, Your Honor, we offer what we've now marked as plaintiff's exhibit 120, these TNT series of documents, and we marked it as plaintiff's 120.
Where's my copy, counselor?
Right here.
Thank you. Does defense have objections to this?
Foundation.
Ask a few more questions to lay the foundation.
Okay.
Sir, were you provided this series of documents, which now we've marked as plaintiff's exhibit 120, as part of your review in this case?
I believe so.
Were these provided to you that we received from TNT?
I believe so.
Okay, or did these reflect discussions about the unit prior to the day it was fell over and killed David Lurie? And in fact, on the very day that it fell over and killed him?
Yes, the date stamp shows the day before and the day of.
Your Honor, we offer plaintiff's exhibit 120.
Objection, not medication.
Sustain.
May we approach?
You can, yes. Please
There you
come
go,
up.
CJ. That's the one who was talking. That guy.
Are you
See
coming
the
defense
right,
counsel?
right in front of you. Look,
Okay,
you,
okay.
you can see his
Yes,
belly.
yes.
Rub it.
Their
TNT
TNT
documents
documents produced by TNT. We sent the letter.
Whose cell phone is this?
What?
Whose cell phone is this?
No, their TNT document, his argument is authentication under 901.
Uh-huh.
Which means, are they TNT documents or not? They were. They were provided by TNT. TNT individuals, and we sent the appropriate letter that says any document that you produce to us is authentic unless you object otherwise. That's under the rules. That's what we did.
Mr. Kim?
It is self-authenticating, but that doesn't make, I mean, it was one night.
So it's still, affect, authenticated. I almost pulled up, whose number, what's the number exhibits? I mean, even the close list.
The objection was authentication. That has been dealt with. Foundation has been dealt with. There's no objection that has not been dealt with.
I'm sustaining the objection. I want a few more questions related to where this came from or who it's from, just because you're saying it's TNT.
I'm not saying it, Your Honor. They admit they sent that to us in response to discovery requests. I'm not just saying that. That's their document that they stamped provided to us.
I get that, but how
I'm
would I,
not saying it. That's true.
how would I know?
Because it's base stamped and they produced it to us. That's how we know. That's the reason we require the base stamp. So that's the reason we sent the letter that we're required to send them the rules that they did not object to authentication. They cannot object to it now. That's why they have that rule. We sent them a letter that says everything you produce to us that you base stamp you sent to us is authentic. And you have an opportunity to object to that it's not authentic. You can't show up now and say it's not when you produced it to us. That's the rule.
And they produced it to you like this with these?
Exactly like that. Exactly like that. And it's pretty common that they do things like that. And that's how sometimes we produce things. He's not able to. That number, if you look in
Look, guys, it's very hard because there is only one lawyer in the room. The other one, if I told you he got his law license out of a Cracker Jack box, it wouldn't be too far off the mark. Okay, so okay. Have you guys ever played at a poker table? Have you guys ever played like blackjack at a poker table? You're in the casino, you're playing blackjack, okay? There's people around you. Every single person at that table expects everybody to play a certain way. There are rules. Now, if I had 20, right? If I had a jack and a queen and a queen, and that equaled 20. All right. And I tried to hit. I asked the dealer to give me another card. Everybody at that table would take me outside and beat me because I broke a rule. Well, if these two lawyers, they have to follow these rules, but only one person knows them because the other lawyer doesn't know the rules of trial or court at all. So when he objects, the things that he objects about takes the other lawyer by surprise. Like, wait, what? What do you mean you object to this document? We've been using this, me and you have both been using this document for months now, sir. You can't just on the day of trial object to this document. But the judge doesn't know any of this. The judge doesn't know that they've been using this document for months and that, TNT provided it and everybody said it was fine. She only knows real court that one lawyer objected for foundation, which sounds legit to her. She's like, sustain. And this lawyer's like, wait, what? And that's going to happen often because this yellow guy is following the rules, but this guy doesn't even know what the rules are.
There are two workers on the site. We're going to have an issue. This is under the rule. When they produce something that they have base stamped, it is authentic unless they object otherwise. Now they're making a different objection. They can't make a hearsay objection. They can't make an authentication objection. Now the objection is foundation. I handle the foundation objection. This is something produced by TNT. This is something that you reviewed as part of your new opinion. This is your communications, the relevance, the day of the entity, the incident, the unit in question, but the day before and the day of. Now, so there's no other objections. There's no other objections. Authentication, we cannot make that objection once we've sent them that letter on a document that they produced.
Nobody hits on an
I'm
18.
just reading the date timestamps on here.
And I would suggest if you want me to ask the witness if that number is a TNT number.
I want you to lay foundation a little more. This is just a few more questions, counsel. So sustained as to your objection at this time.
I didn't even know what the objection is. If it's 901, that cannot be an objection under law. So what are the
So they
objections?
made two objections.
Okay, I need to know what the other one is, because 901 is cannot be an objection on this document.
At first it was authentication and then the second was improper foundation. Okay,
This
so
would be just where it's relevant or not, if it pertains to this case, which I've already done that. Let's do it again.
counsel, it's a few more questions lacking for me to make the determination.
You have a copy of this, sir?
Not with me.
Okay. If I could stand right here, Your Honor.
You can.
Sir, these were documents provided to you through, via my office, but they came from TNT, is that right?
Yes, I believe so.
And these documents are specifically discussing the unit in question that fell over, on the day and killed David Laree, right?
Yes,
And they're discussing in these documents also that particular unit in the yard before it was moved to the job site, is that right?
yes.
Sustained.
You know, this is how you lay a foundation, is to lead him.
Objection sidebar.
Sustained.
And tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what these documents pertain to.
These documents pertain to the lift of the air handling unit. The first time that it was picked up at the TNT yard, and then again.
You can't just read from the document.
He's not.
He's not reading from the document. He's not reading anything from the document. He's telling me what they are. Overruled. Have a seat, counselor. Go ahead, sir.
Can you tell us what dates these communications about this unit were sent?
I love when he speaks. When he speaks, his whole trial changes every time he speaks.
Okay, the dates that are stamped from the cell phone number that's up there that are the day before the incident that killed David Laree and the day of.
And does it pertain specifically to, in fact, the exact unit that killed David Laree?
Yes,
That's reading.
Sustained.
What unit is being discussed in these? I mean, I don't know without testifying, Your Honor, the foundation's been laid. I would offer plaintiff's exhibit 120.
I'd ask you to ask the question that you were just about to ask, counsel.
What particular unit is being discussed in these documents?
well, it's the air handler, one of the three, it's the second of the three air handler units to be placed on the fourth floor of the building at 6th Day.
Okay, but in particular with regard to David Laree, how is this relevant to David Laree?
Well, this is the unit that ultimately fell over and crushed David Laree.
Your Honor, we offer plaintiffs exhibit 120.
Foundation, but probably answer she just said.
Overruled. I'm gonna allow this exhibit to be accepted and admitted into evidence.
Now, let's put Carlos 120 on the screen, please. And Carlos, if we could go to page 5, we're going to come back to the first page. Go to page 5 and bring up, if you could, the top picture. Mr. Decker, tell us what we're looking at here.
This is marked AHU, which stands for Air Handling Unit number 4, and this is piece number 2 of Air Handling Unit number 4.
Sir, when you hear, is there an objection?
Yes.
What is the objection?
Objection, Your Honor.
What?
Foundation, there is no adequate testimony from this witness as to the accuracy of this document as required by the rules.
Counselor, I've admitted this into evidence. Your objections on file. You have noted it in the record, and so I've overruled your objection. Thank you. You can proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Let me ask the question again. And let's just focus on the question I'm asking. Do you recognize the unit that we see in the picture?
Yes, I do.
And as far as what they were doing that day, what unit is that?
As far as what they were doing, that is the unit that ultimately fell on David Laree.
And You had mentioned, the connection points. You had, this base here. Tell me about this base.
Well, that base has two openings that could be used as connection points. That doesn't mean that's the only way that you could lift that, but they are attachment points that you could use for lifting or for tie down. But if you use them for lifting, you need to ensure that it's secure.
Okay, Carlos, could you bring it up so we could look a little closer at what the director's talking out there at the bottom? All right. It looks like there's, to explain if you could, there's two different holes, it looks like, on each corner.
I see one hole in each corner. I don't see the other. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
that's fine. Are you supposed to use these holes here to connect and lift this thing?
It's an option, but if you use that option, you need to ensure that it is secured because all of the load is above the lift points. And as I explained earlier, that would be unstable to lift that way.
Let's go to the picture down below. We're looking at page 5, exhibit 120. You can get a sense. Tell us what we're looking at here.
Excuse me. They are lifting the load by the lift points.
Okay. Who else hears Hawkeye from MASH when this guy talks? Hi, Kit Kat.
Apparently with a spreader bar because the slings are going in different directions up top, with some nylon slings, which are essentially, they look like, people call them straps. And the nylon slings are connected to the holes with a device called a shackle, which is a horseshoe with a pin that screws into it. And that's commonly used in the rigging industry. So as you can see, it's lifted more on one side than the other. And the side that is still on the ground, the sling is wrapped around it. And if it weren't for that, that unit could certainly at some point, when it's lifted enough, could topple.
Go back, Carlos. I appreciate you helping me out here, but it's when you lift a load like that, that's tall and narrow like that, is it supposed to lean like that?
No, that's the reason for ensuring that you have equal length slings and you secure the load from toppling.
What can you do as a rigger or a crane operator to keep a load like this from leaning like that when it's being lifted?
Well, there are several things, and one of them is that you can tie the slings at each corner so that there is a band, if you will, around the top of the unit. You can use what are called choker hitches, and that is when you take this strap, it's called a sling, it's called a synthetic webbing sling, and has an eye at each end formed into the sling. And you can put one eye through the other, and that forms a circular sling with one eye going straight up. If the circle wraps around the load, okay, then the other eye would go up to the attachment point on the spreader bar or the crane. And so that encapsulates the load so it can't shift and fall out of the rigging. So you would use 2 or more of those slings to encapsulate the load. And that would be probably the preferable method for doing that.
From the point of view of a certified rigger or a qualified rigger, when you look at this picture, is that a problem that needs to be fixed?
That is absolutely a problem that needs to be fixed.
Why?
Because if you continue to pick it, the likelihood of that falling over is pretty high.
If you're a certified or qualified crane operator and you see this picture, is that something you need to fix?
I would set the load down and ask the riggers to take care of that.
I want to look at, let's look at the whole page, please, Carlos. Just tell us what date and time these pictures at least appears above these pictures.
Okay. The date and time there is the 21st of September, 2021 at 5:58 p.m.
Is that the day before David Lurie was killed?
Yes, it is. Late in the day.
Let's go to the first page. Could you read this language that we see here that was, right below the date 9/21, 6:13 PM?
Certainly. Those look tough to pick up. Yeah, they all come up a little unlevel. That one, for some reason, just toppled over as soon as we put pressure on it. I picked it as it's intended according to the length and pick points, and that was the end result. What if we didn't use a bar and went around the sides?
Is there a way not to use what bar do they use?
The spreader bar?
Is there a way not to use a spreader bar if you rig this without one that would make it more stable?
Oh, there are multiple ways. The best, of course, would be the choker hitch that I described. The thing you have to be careful of there is you have to protect the unit from being damaged by the slings when you do that. But it will give you protection, and there are certainly many options for protecting the slings from damaging the unit.
Let's go to the third page. Can you tell me what the date and time is here?
That is the 22nd of September, 2021 at 1:10 PM, which was the day of the incident that we were here for.
Recall the time of the incident.
I want to say it was between 1 and 2 o'clock PM.
Let's look at the picture. If the time was 1:49, does that ring a bell?
Yes, now you say it because I remember the 911 call. I apologize.
That's fine. Carl, don't do that until I wanna focus on the bottom picture. As a crane operator, first off, based on your review of the evidence, whether it be witness statements, the statement from the crane operator or his deposition, are you familiar with what he could see and what he could not see from that cab?
Yes, in general terms.
Okay. In general terms, could he see, if he were in the cab, what we see here in the picture?
I believe you can see very close to what we see in that picture, yes.
Okay. All right. So from your point of view as an expert crane operator and an expert rigger, when you see this, what you see in this picture, does this give you any concern?
Yes.
Why?
Well, because the load is reasonably straight, maybe leaning a little to the left, but the rigging is shifting, leaning to the right, and the rigging appears to be shifted to the left. And if you look at the top picture, it almost appears to be the opposite. So it appears that the hook is not directly centered over the load. And so I believe at this point, there may have been contact, at least on the inside at one end, but the crane hook was not centered directly over the load at this point.
If you're the crane operator and you're lifting a load like this, 5,193 pounds, you know it's fallen over before, you know it's one side has all the weight. I call that top heavy, but it's, I guess, technically not. What do you do at this point as a certified, qualified, and responsible crane operator?
I'm going to call the signal person, the rigger that's up top, and ask them what's going on. And first of all, I don't think you should have got this far, but I'm going to call them up on the radio, ask them what's going on, why is this leaning like this, and I'm going to try to adjust the crane to center, or to keep the crane centered over the center of the load, but with the caveat that there be communication back and forth, because I would never want to try to make an adjustment without talking to the person at the other end that has their eyes on the whole load.
And then with regard to what you see at the top picture, same answer, or what would you do?
Exactly the same answer. There's obviously something going on that's not correct. I would communicate.
I mean, what, as a crane operator, what would be the responsible thing to do once you see this?
Communicate. Absolutely. Talk to the rigger signal person that's up top, find out what they're doing. Say, listen, something's not right here. I'm not comfortable. What are we going to do about this? And I suspect that if I was the person up top, my answer is going to be, let's take this back down and reconnect it a different way. We're going to connect it back up and take it down and come up with a different rigging method.
One of the things I want to ask you is, if we can come back to that, let's go back to 27 and go to, exhibit 28. Or page 28 of Plaintiff's Exhibit 7. When the point of the train operator, in that cab, is he or she able to see whether the crane is connected to the load from that vantage point?
Sustained.
In your review of the evidence, were you able to determine the point of view of the crane operator, what you could see specifically from his own mouth? We just heard it a few minutes ago.
I'm sorry, but I was probably out for that part, but I can tell you from experience.
Yeah.
And you can see in a straight line, basically the same direction that the boom is going. And anything that is below the boom that is not obstructed, you can see it. Depending on the distance, your eyesight, and in some cases, a lot of crane operators do have binoculars in their cab because they often need them for the inspection in the morning.
But is there any way that the crane operator in this instance could see the other side of that?
I have no idea how that would be possible. You'd have to be able to see through the walls and the floor.
So, was there ever a lift plan that included lifting that unit with only 2 hooks connected?
I'm sorry, only 2 hooks?
Yeah.
Oh, are you talking about after it was up there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm sorry, I misunderstood your question.
It's my fault.
No, it was not ever documented how they were going to put the unit into the building. There was not a complete lift plan. There were an assortment of lift plan, none of which were really complete or accurate for that matter. And so the last lift plan was done by the crane operator. And, I know that the responsibility for the lift plan comes from the lift director. So in this case, I would assume that the crane operator is acting as the lift director because he did the lift plan for this. And there was nothing on there about how the unit would be put into the building, just lift it up.
Well, I want to be very specific because we listened to his deposition just a few minutes ago, where he said he could see this side, couldn't see the other side. My question to you is there ever an instance where it's appropriate or safe to disconnect one side of a unit like this and then lift it?
And the operative word here for me is a unit like this. There are situations where you can disconnect a load and pick up one side, but this, because of the, and I'm going to call it unstable nature of the load, and the forecast for wind and the wind that was present that day, and being what I will call, is much to the dislike, I guess, of some, I will call it the high center of gravity or the top heaviness, because again, the pick point is down here and this big load is easily be influenced by the wind. It's not like it's a solid block of weight sitting on concrete. It's an upright load. I'm sorry, I got a little off track there.
I just want to focus on in this instance, would it ever be safe to disconnect two hooks on the front and then lift that load in any respect?
No, it was not safe in this instance.
Were you able to determine whether the crane operator even was aware that the front 2 hooks had been disconnected?
I'm not aware of any communication from the signal person to tell the crane operator that the load was partially disconnected.
Let's try to hit some of the important high points. Did you have a chance to review each of the TNT job safety analysis that they did?
I did.
Okay. Your Honor, may I approach the witness? Okay. I'm showing you what's now marked as defense exhibit or plaintiff's exhibit 121, which is a series of JSAs. Can you take a look and confirm that's what I've handed you? I need copies.
This appears to be a JSA. Yes, from TNT.
Now let's flip through and just confirm
Okay.
that it's a whole stack of various JSAs from TNT.
Okay. Yes, they all appear to be JSA from TNT.
Can we agree that they're all have the name Ben Kinkle on them?
I believe you're right, but I'm going to check. It's not that I don't trust you.
It's fine. And you know who Ben Kinkle is?
Yes, he is the crane operator.
Or scapegoat, as we call it.
I've highlighted his name for you.
Okay, yeah, I was looking here where it says operator, but, okay, I believe that says Ben Kinkle. That's, he should have been a doctor.
Okay, sustain.
Yes, it's the same signature that appears to be Ben Kinkle on each one.
Your Honor, we offer plaintiff's exhibit 121.
Defense, do you have objections?
Your Honor.
Yes,
Relevance.
you have a response?
Yes, Your Honor.
Relevant.
Mr. Kinkle said he couldn't win on every one of his JSAs when there was a lift because it was just a normal thing that he did. None of these had wind on them. That's relevant.
But also additionally affect the foundation. There's no way you can tell this court how accurate or he's not the proper person to lay a foundation.
But again, Your Honor, that's an authentication issue. These were produced by TNT, each of them are TNT documents. They're authentic.
So in relation to the relevance objection, it's overruled. In relation to the, what is your legal objection about the authentication? Is that your objection? Lack of foundation?
Yes.
Okay, sustain.
We have a little few more.
Yes.
Mr. Decker, did each of these documents or each of these JSAs done by Ben Kinkle, the crane operator from TNT?
Yes, they appear to have been.
Are these,
Overruled.
does it have Ben Kinkle's name on each of them?
It does.
And is it JSAs for lifts that Ben Kinkle was involved in?
Yes,
And on these JSAs, is there a blank that you recall the JSA that was done specific to the incident in this case?
I do.
You recall Ben Kinkle testifying about how he lists wind on every JSA?
Yes,
Would that be relevant then, at least in your evaluation of whether that issue was in fact true in the way they do their business?
absolutely.
Your Honor, we offer
You object.
136 or 121.
Defense, do you have an objection from the lead attorney that's doing direct and cross? Are you doing cross on this case, on this witness, or someone else? Do you have an objection? Let me just instruct everybody once more.
This guy up here stood up and said objection. I have no idea who that is. None.
Again today. Specifically on the record, both parties had an issue of attorneys objecting who were not leading direct and cross. I made a ruling. If you are not conducting direct or cross examination, do not make an objection. Do all the attorneys present in court understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
Okay. Is there an objection from defense? All right, have a seat, please. You can proceed.
Your Honor, we offer plaintiff's exhibit 121.
No,
The exhibit will be accepted and admitted into evidence.
Okay. We're gonna run through this real quick, sir, okay?
Certainly.
Let's look at the first page of 121.
You have to expect that Texas A&M, like, these are high paid lawyers. You would have to expect it. These are multi-million-dollar companies, and someone died, which means if they're found liable, they're going to lose everything. They're going to lose their shirts. So you would expect that these are These are high paid lawyers. I don't know. I think it's a lot. And I think I think the defense, although I don't know who they are, I think they didn't put their A team in the front row.
You see the hazards here in the middle,
Yes, thank you for blowing that up.
okay? And there's slips. You see slips, trips, and falls?
I do.
Free swinging load?
Yes,
You see anything? You see failed rigging?
it's yes, it's the last
You
item.
see- You see wind?
No, I do not.
Okay, next page. Is this also a JSA from TNT?
It is?
Do you see free swinging load? It's supposed to be on page 2. 146. See free swinging load.
Yes,
Do you see slip strips and falls?
I do.
Do you see wind?
I do not.
Next page. 47. You see slip strips and falls.
I do.
See falling load.
I do.
You see free swinging.
Yes.
You see wind.
No, I do not.
Next page. Is this also a JSA from TNT?
Yes, it is.
Of course, we can fill out, Carlos. Hold on a minute. See the bottom, you see Ben Kinkle's name.
Yes, it is.
Okay, now pull up the hazards. You see falling load,
I do.
slip strips and falls,
I do.
free swinging load.
I do.
Do you see wind?
I do not.
Next page. Again, at the bottom, you see Ben Kinkle's name.
Yes,
All right, the hazards. You see slip strips and falls.
I do.
You see free swinging load.
I do.
You see failed rigging.
I do.
Do you see wind?
I do not.
Next page. You see Ben Kinkle's name.
I do.
You see that this is a JSA from TNT.
So you I have to warn you, these poor people answering the questions, okay? They got to go through his questions, which are asinine. It's so hard to deal with. They have to go through their questions, and they already don't want him to question them, okay? Because he's the defense. They're on the other side. But their own attorney that called them as a witness is so abrupt and brash and arrogant that he comes off as hostile. So these people answering these questions day in, day out, over and over and over again, get hostile from this side. And hostile is one word, definitely. Asinine is another word from this side. And these are construction workers. Most of them are construction workers. And they get so mad. The construction workers, like, they'll ask them a question. And I'm like, are you asking me if there was any wind? There's wind every single day. Yeah, but was there wind that day? Are you asking me if there is wind outside? Sir, there's wind outside every single day. Yes, but was there wind? Your Honor, I need a break. I need to take a break. I can't deal with these questions because they're construction workers. So he sounds aggressive. He needs to take it down a notch with his own people, but he doesn't.
I do. I do.
Can you pull up the hazard please? You see slip strips and falls.
Yes, I do.
You see failed rigging.
I do.
You see free swinging load.
Yes, I do.
Do you see wind?
I do not.
Well, let's look at the JSA. Where is it? Exhibit 21, the one that was done by Ben Kinkle for the load that crushed and killed David LaRue. You see Ben Kinkle's name again.
I do.
Okay, pull up the hazards. No, second page, please. No, wrong page. Second page. Pull up the hazards. Is that trip and fall?
I do.
Falling units?
Yes,
Free swinging load,
yes,
failed rigging.
uh, yes.
What do you see here? You see my finger? At the bottom.
Oh, wind.
The only one you saw wind in?
It is.
You recall his testimony about why he put wind there?
I do.
What was it?
That it could always be windy. Texas has a tough, tough climate
He
and
puts wind on all of them.
yeah,
Okay. That ain't true, is it?
not according to what I see here.
All right, I want to focus, if we could, on who was responsible for what at the job site. I want to look at plaintiff's exhibit 12. Have you had a chance to review the contract that TNT had with Way Mechanical?
Yes, I did, although I would admit it's been a couple of years.
Yeah.
I have reviewed
We'll
it.
have it here on the screen.
Perfect.
And I'm not asking you for any sort of legal opinion, but as far as you could tell, as somebody who's been in this business for how many years you said?
48.
48 years. Who was responsible for the lift and the connection or for the planning connection to unconnecting?
Well, that would be TNT.
Is there any question about that, at least from your point of view as an expert crane operator?
No, they're the only experts in lifting and rigging on the job.
When you looked at the various people that were at the job site that day, were there any qualified riggers there other than from TNT?
Not that I'm aware of.
Now, who had certified riggers on that site?
TNT had several.
Was there any certified crane operator on that site?
There was Ben Kinkle.
Did Way Mechanical, in your review, have a certified or qualified crane operator on that site?
Not that I'm aware of.
How about, did Way Mechanical have a certified or qualified rigger on that site?
Not that I'm aware of.
Now, I want to focus in on this contract here. There's this in bold all caps. Can you tell me what that says here?
Provide, thank you, provide crane and rigging services as noted in quote SNC 173070.
And so that quote is 17307.
Zero.
Okay. And so if we want to see what that scope of work, what would we look at?
I'm going to look at the quote.
Okay, let's plaintiff's exhibit 14. It's in evidence. Is that the quote?
That's the same number.
Okay, and let's go to the actual scope of work that was contracted for. Let's pay scope of work. Pull that up, please. Can you read what the scope of work was?
There we go. Pick and set 2 air handlers into side of building and 3 air handlers to top of building.
What is the significance, if any, from your point of view as a expert rigger and expert crane operator in these words, pick and set?
Well, exactly that. You're going to pick up the load from wherever it starts out with the crane, and you're going to set it at its final destination, and that completes the obligation of that scope of work.
Was the scope of work completed at the time David Laree was killed?
No, because it was still connected to the crane, and I should have said, when you set the load, you also have to disconnect your rigging from the load, and then you take the crane down and pack it up and all that. That's all part of that process.
There's been some discussion in this case about a cantilever. Can you tell me what that is?
A cantilever is a type of, it's called a below the hook lifting device, and that's anything that's not a sling or a rigging hardware that hangs below the hook of the crane to assist in making a lift safely and efficiently. So a cantilever has weight hanging from one end, and sometimes they're adjustable weights, and sometimes it's a sliding lift point, but it allows you to pick up a weight out here let me use my pen, out here on the end and add weight over here and the load stays balanced, so you can just bring it in and stab it into a building. If you were putting a safe in the window of a bank, you might use a cantilever, and it's a similar type of operation.
On the job site, when you're talking about lift operations, who is it that decides whether a cantilever is needed?
Oh, that has to be a qualified person, a qualified rigger.
In this particular case, based on the facts and circumstances that you reviewed, who was supposed to, well, first of all, was a cantilever needed?
I believe so. I believe that would have been the safest option for installing this unit.
Who was responsible for them providing that and making sure it was used?
Well, the crane company should have, whether they provided it or not, should have spelled out what was required. They usually would be the people that provide it. It would be the lift director that does the lift plan that would determine what's the best and safest way to do the job, and they would require it. Now, you could go to the rental center and rent one, or you could get one from the crane company.
I'm not getting wrapped around that's where it came from.
Yeah.
I'm talking about who would require it.
Okay. Yes, thank you. That was your question.
Yeah.
Who would?
I don't care where it came from. Who
Okay.
would be responsible for saying this is required or it's not required?
That would be the lift director and the riggers.
From what company?
Well, in this case, TNC.
Why can't Wave Mechanical, their customer, say I'm not going to use one?
I'm not sure why they were given that option not to use one. If I'm responsible for this lift and it's my crane and it's my signal person and my rigger up there, I want to do this job in the safest manner possible. And so, I wouldn't allow a customer to tell me, I'm not going to do it more safely. I'm going to do it the way I want to do it, because they won't be my customer.
I don't understand that.
So if TNT thought that this was the safest way, and as I do believe it was the safest way, is to use a cantilever, then that should have been the only option that was presented. You need a cantilever to do this job. To allow the customer to dictate a less safe way to do the job and to do part of the job along with, now that to me is a huge liability.
Well, do you see any evidence in your review that Wave Mechanical was even aware that the cantilever was safer?
I do think there was one point where it said it's required, but never mentioned safety. And then later they were given, Mike Hemley was given an option. Which one do you want? And I don't know why TNC said, which one do you want? There was only one option that was safer.
The jury is heard about the two quotes. Consent to other quote.
Thank you.
Obviously, which quote did Wave Mechanical choose? The one with the cantilever or without?
The one without, they used the standard spreader bar.
What information did you see in the file that TNT provided to Wave to explain the significance safety-wise of the cantilever?
I didn't see any.
Let's look at the quote that Wave Mechanical did not choose. Can you read what it says here in the comments? It's the same scope of work, true?
Yes, and it just said cantilever bar required. There was no further discussion there.
But this was not the quote they chose.
It was not.
I want to go back. These emails that we've now put into evidence as Plaintiff's Exhibit 20. And if you could, Carl, let's go to page 4. The top page.
While they're turning to page 4, I need to thank Maiko. Maiko, thank you for sending me those clips, because they're all hilarious. And I get them out of nowhere. And they always, especially when I'm really, really pissed off at someone, I get my phone out. And there you go. Sent me another clip. And then I'm not so mad at that person anymore. Thank you.
Are we looking at here? The top picture?
That appears to be the base of the air handler and including the attachment points sitting on the ground.
Okay, and it's the bottom picture?
That appears to be part of an air handler, but
Hard to say.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the significance there.
What does it say here in that sentence right there?
It says there's no weight on one side, and that is because the coils, I guess, of the air handler, as I understand it from this case, I'm not a HVAC expert, but I understand testimony that the coils were all on one side and the rest was just an open air space.
Let's go to page 6. What we have here is another picture, correct, of this thing being lifted.
Yes,
And you told us about your opinion of that.
I did.
Focus on this language down here. Did you read that to us?
It says I had, and I don't know who this is to and from, I believe it's some TNT. I had 2 3-ton chain hoists to use. They need a cantilever bar to do this, make it way easier to do.
Do they have a cantilever bar?
Not on site.
Did they use a cantilever bar at least up until David LaRue was killed?
No, they did not use one.
I want to focus if we could. You had a chance to review TNT's field safety guide.
I did.
Okay. In your experience as an expert and also working on job sites, is it typical for there to be a field safety guide?
Yes, it is pretty typical.
What's the significance of it?
Well, it's the company's doctrine that tells the employees, here are the things that we need to do to work safely, to have 0 or fewer accidents, and to protect life and property.
Did you review the testimony of the crane operator in this case as to whether he'd ever seen TNT's field safety guide?
Yeah, my recollection is he didn't recall ever saying it.
Was that an issue?
Well, I think so.
Why?
Well, because the field safety guide is the supplement to the existing regulations and standards. So you have OSHA and you have ASV and other national standards, but the field safety guide is going to have additional requirements that TNT puts into place to either make it, to make it either clearer or to ensure a higher level of safety.
And when your review of TNT's field safety guide, is there anything about it that, or do you think it's an appropriate field safety guide?
Yeah, it seems to be pretty standard. Some of the things that came directly out of OSHA and other industry standards may have been maybe not the latest revisions, but it was pretty standard and if followed, should have been helpful for the employees.
Okay. So you don't have an issue with regard to it's not an adequate guide?
No.
What is your issue with it then?
That Ben Kinkle doesn't remember ever reading it.
Was it followed in this instance?
No.
You mentioned, I think we all know what OSHA is, the occupational, what is it, OSHA?
Occupational safety and health.
What is OSHA? Okay, I'm gonna stop on what is OSHA because that's an annoying question. Everybody knows what OSHA is. All right, we made it to the real trial with the real lawyers. We only got a taste of him today, but don't worry, we're gonna see more of him. I promise, and it'll be great. I promise. It'll be so frustrating. Just so you know, I'm about to flip everybody over to the 100th video of OJ Simpson that we're doing. The 100th. I was going to do a whole orange juice thing with the 100th, but it snuck up on me so quickly. 100. I mean, I had 100 times to get ready for this, and then I didn't. But if anybody has any orange juice or screwdrivers or, fuzzy navels in your home, trying to think if I have any peach schnapps here. I don't think I do. I don't think I have any schnapps at all in the house. Isn't that horrible? You get older and you're not in your 20s anymore, so you don't need schnapps anymore. And then one day you need schnapps and it's just not even there. Anyway, no fuzzy navels. JK, yeah, I know. That's just not enough for me. I need more time to get ready. We were gonna do a whole glove thing. Tell you what, we'll do a whole orange juice thing and glove thing with everybody trying on their glove. So I need you guys, remember, I asked for this before and I don't think I got any. I need you guys to video yourself trying on a glove, any glove. Make one out of paper if you have to. But just try on a glove and send that 2, 3, 10-second clip to me so I can make a video of all of us trying on our gloves for the OJ Simpson glove one. And I'm going to make that video during my live stream. So we're going to see it. We're going to see it during the OJ Simpson playlist. And then once we find it, I'm going to play that one the next day on my live stream. And I'm going to put all your glove videos in there. Or I will fake it and I will make 100 different videos of me putting gloves on, pretending I'm a different freaking person. Because that's how many personalities I really do have. So, Kelly, that's dropping, baby. I talk too much. If I would shut up, it wouldn't, but I'm never going to shut up. So it's just going to drop. It's fine. Thank you so much for coming out, guys. Just wait till tomorrow. Wait till tomorrow. We're going to hear him. It's going to be lovely. It's going to be such a good day. Yes. I love that book. Oh, man, did I love that book. Now I want to read it again. I don't have time. I don't have time. Monica, temptress. See you guys. Have a great day. Thank you.
Got these lights that goes digital dreams through the screen, her blue eyes gleam. Wicked humor, sharp as a knife. Her stream sparks electric light. Late night when the world sleeps, she's the friend that always keeps. Giggles roll like thunder loud. She stands out in any crowd. Kathy's laugh cuts through the gloom. Eyes blue like a summer's bloom. Her humor dark and twisted sharp. In a way, there's no alarm. Streaming tales late into the night. Her laughter feels just right. Even when my world turns gray, with a giggle, she lights the way. Her eyes near a sky so blue. In her jokes, there's a truth so true. With each stream, she brings the light. Turns dark days into bright. Kathy's laugh cuts through the gloom. Eyes blue like a summer's bloom. Her humor dark and twisted sharp. In a way, there's no alarm. Streaming tales late into the night. Her laughter feels just right.